good people, welcome to Raw Vegan Rising. My name is Shane Sterling. How you doing? So glad you're here with me. I just got back from 4 days camping in Mount Shasta. If you've never heard of Mount Shasta, it is a playground. It is a wonderland of dynamic, majestic things to do, views and vistas and forests, pristine rivers and lakes. It's really beautiful. I got to swim in some pristine water, visit waterfalls, camp in beautiful forests. I camped on the mountain of Mount Shasta. You know, there is some magical energy to Mount Shasta, and I think when you're called to Mount Shasta, you're called, and I don't know, it's just like time to go to the mountain. There's always this unique cloud that hangs over the mountain. It's kind of UFO shaped, and there's a lot of metaphysical, mystical elements going on there. And in the town, it attracts a lot of spiritually aware people, you could say. It attracts a lot of, consciousness. There's a great health food market in the town of Shasta, really good market, which just shows mostly vegan food, Anyway, it's a great place to go. I just got back, so I'm charged up on Mother Nature, charged up on negative ions, charged up on the spiritual downloads of Mount Shasta. So in this video, I wanted to talk about 3 reasons not to eat a raw vegan diet. But before I get into that, I wanted to show you this paper that I have here. This paper is from Anthony William, Medical Intuitive Recommendations. This paper right here was sent to my mother in 2004 from Anthony William, the medical medium, after she had gotten a reading for me about my childhood asthma. In 2004, I was a 31-year-old adult. I didn't have asthma anymore. I had outgrown my asthma, but my mom has always been so freaked out about my asthma that she's always constantly looking for what the solutions are, even though I haven't had asthma in years. So in 2004, she contacted Anthony William to get a reading. So she walked into my office just a couple days ago and handed me this paper. I had never seen it before. I'd never heard of the fact that she had done this, that she'd had a reading with Anthony William. And I looked at it and I read it and I was like, oh, that's cool. Wow. And I handed it back to her. And then about 30 minutes after that, I went and got her. She was over at the house and I was like, Mom, can I borrow that paper? I need to have that. So I actually think I'm going to have this in my possession. But what this paper says is really interesting. In 2004, it reads, Shane, to eliminate asthma, all grains and bean products should be out of diet. All products with soy or rice as well. Lots of fruits, vegetables, and avocado, sprouted nuts and seeds are great. At least almost go to 80% living foods. This will heal original food allergy. Spirit pressed this issue very strongly. My favorite line on this whole paper is Spirit pressed this issue very strongly, because apparently Spirit has pressed this issue strongly for me, because I'm 100% raw vegan, 100% living foods. I love sprouts. I eat lots of fruits and vegetables and sprouted seeds and nuts. And I'm not 80% living foods, I'm 100% living foods. So I've been called to this path too. Anthony William gave me this advice, and it was good advice because it was actually in tune with my spirit and my destiny and my purpose. So actually I was quite amazed by that. So that was good advice then. It's good advice now, and it will heal my original food allergies and all my other allergies and all my other health problems, because 100% living foods diet has given me the best health of my life. So Anthony Williams was on it, and I thought that was so cool, and I wanted to share that. So I'm going to hang on to this paper, and I will treasure that as an indication that I'm on the right path, an indication that I am supposed to be a raw vegan. I am supposed to be a living foods advocate, someone living the lifestyle, talking about the lifestyle, making this a part of my life. And that is just real corroborating. It's really affirming. So that was exciting to see. Now, the 3 reasons why you would not want to be a raw vegan are as follows. Number 1, You're not ready for a change of identity, because going raw vegan, going living foods, even 80% living foods, is going to change your identity. It's going to break the neural associations with the food addictions you have. You'll no longer be able to condone junk food diets, cooked food diets, meat and dairy-based diets, because you'll realize where true sustenance comes from, where true vital life force comes from, and it comes from the electrical energy in the sun, the electrical magnetism that's in the particles, the light particles, the electrical particles in the food, the water and the minerals as well, the living foods, everything that's still intact and whole and non-denatured. And when you break those neural associations from your past, from who you used to be, what tribe, what food tribe you used to be in, then all of a sudden you're a whole new person. You're looking at the world through a new lens. You're looking at the world from a future focus. You're looking at the world through a whole new identity. That can be scary. It can destroy relationships. It can lead to conflict in your family, in your primary relationships, in your marriages, in your dating life. And then all of a sudden, you have to find new ground. You have to find ways to relate to people in a new way. It's a huge identity shift. And no one wants to instigate that level of change, naturally, unless we have a big calling, a big mission that's calling us forward. So if you have the calling to become a raw vegan, you might find that it's worth it to have the big change of identity. You might feel it's worth it climbing the summit of the mountain to find a whole new way of life, a whole new way of looking at the world, activating yourself, empowering our future, and doing the healing work internally through your own internal knowledge and wisdom and experimentation that can ultimately heal the world and heal the rest of humanity's gosh darn suffering, Number 2, you're not ready to see your spiritual responsibility, because going raw vegan reveals a big responsibility that we are ultimately responsible for ourselves. Ultimately, there is no authority outside of ourselves that's going to come save us. True wisdom is experiential wisdom. It's experiential knowledge that comes from within. The only knowledge that we can ever truly have comes from within. Everything else is just parroting other words and voices and things that we've been told about ourselves and about the way the world works from other people. And how are we supposed to trust the integrity and the wisdom and the inner knowing of other people? We can't really. We actually have to attune and align with our own inner knowing so that we can be our own authority. We can be our own healer. We can be our own health advisor, our own nutritionist. The doctors are in the pockets of the pharmaceutical companies. The doctors go study at medical schools where the textbooks are written by the pharmaceutical companies. It's all skewed to make profit and to manage sickness and to create a big business around disease and sickness, but there is no healing in medicine. There's no curing of disease in medicine. So that comes down to us. We have to be our own authority. We have to take responsibility. We have to step on the spiritual path, which is sometimes a straight and narrow path. And not everyone is ready for that straight and narrow path. It's a big, daunting thing to live a devotional lifestyle every day. Cut out the comfort foods and the junk foods that numb our pain, numb our awareness of reality, so we don't have to pay attention. When we stop eating cooked foods and junk foods and animal products, all of a sudden there's nowhere to hide. There's nowhere for our emotions to be stuffed. And all of a sudden we're faced with our pain, we're faced with our trauma, we're faced with our limitations and the despair that humanity's experiencing as a whole. And we're like, oh man, it's a lot of work to do. And it points it right back to numero uno. It points it right back to the primary source of all reality, which is us, because we only experience the world through our own internal experience. If we want to have answers about how the world works, we have to turn inward. When we look up at the amazing sky at night and wonder, where do we come from? What does it all mean? there's no answer out there. There's no answer from authorities. There's no answer from scholars. There's no answer from scientists. There is only an answer when we look within. If we want to know the answers to the universe, we have to ask the questions within. And through our own inner knowing, our own internal guidance system, our own connection to the divine source that animates all life, can we understand the answers that we seek. So it's not outside of us. And stepping onto the path of a raw foods diet, a raw living foods diet, is a big spiritual responsibility, because then we realize that we are the forebearers, we're the leading edge, the cutting edge of spiritual evolution right now. So that means we can't really sit on our butts and eat junk food, because the future needs us. The world needs us. Our children need us. The suffering and the pain and the misery, the people and the animals and the situations in life that are in dire straits, in pain and agony right now need us. They need us. So, not always easy, but always worth it. All right, number 3, you're not ready to break through your limitations. Raw living foods will show us our limitations. When we have nowhere to stuff the emotions and the pain and the agony, it comes right up in our face. There it is, presented to us on a silver platter by the universe to face and to deal with. And sometimes we have built up our entire identity around these limitations. Sometimes we have built all of our relationships with our mother, our father, our spouses, our children, and with our work and our meaning and our vocation in life all around these limitations. Our favorite foods are limiting. Our favorite movies are limiting. Our favorite ideas about life are limiting. Our ideas about who we are and where we come from and what we've been told by the scholars and the doctors and the scientists are all limiting, because we're not turning within to find the real information, which is really where we come from, really who we are, and really how we're going to make a difference and have the answers that we seek and be powerful, be empowered, be loving and uplifting. Who doesn't want to be empowered and loving and uplifting to everything around us? Of course we do. We feel that calling in our heart. But we're limited. We're limited by crappy jobs. We're limited by bad health. We're limited by crappy relationships that keep us down, that keep us in codependence, that keep us not feeling like who we really are. So stepping on the path of a raw foods diet will ultimately bring those limitations into direct focus. And ultimately that's painful. And that's very, very difficult to deal with. But if we want to break through, have any breakthroughs in life, the best way is to deal with our limitations, to look at our blind spots, to see our blind spots. Raw food, a raw living foods diet will reveal our blind spots, because there's nowhere to hide. There's nowhere to run. We have to stand and face it. We have to stand in the fire, face our fears, face our limitations. It's hard and it's beautiful and it's worth it. And when I was standing, in these beautiful forests and looking up at the stars on the mountain, this huge 15,000 foot mountain, I was having existential questions myself. Where do we come from? Where do we go? Are there aliens out there in those beautiful stars? How could we be alone on this planet? But ultimately, it reminded me that the only true wisdom is within myself. I have access to the universe through myself. I am one drop in the ocean that makes up the entire hologram of all reality. And that's the way holograms work. I'm one facet that makes up the whole. So I have all the knowledge of the whole within me. That's what the mountain shared with me. That was the nugget of wisdom that I took back from my trip to Mount Shasta. And so I'll share with you now some of the beautiful, picturesque scenes that I was enjoying on my trip. Thank you so much for being on this video with me. I appreciate it so much. Please subscribe to Raw Vegan Rising before I show you this video. Please give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, and I'll see you in the next one. Blessings. Here we are at the top of Mount Shasta. Look at that, there's the summit right up there. I made it to the snow on Mount Shasta. This is the top. It is the end of August and there's snow on the mountain. Amazing vistas. And over here, we got the mountain above us, very high, towering above us.